We'll kick us off. All right, and we're recording, and Heather's working on our Facebook Live,
I
so
am
that's
all good to we're live.
awesome. Cool. Super cool. Welcome, everyone. So our friends are starting to come into the room, and this is another opportunity to learn what you can do with AI and the availability for the accounting space. So specifically, what are we doing whenever it comes to the books, how that can be automated. So you may have had a chance to meet Jessica, those of you who are coming in and that were also at scaling. This may be a friendly face that you already recognize. And scaling was a really big deep dive for a lot of people into AI, whether or not they'd
It
been paying
was.
attention or they were, knees deep. There's a lot of AI conversations there.
There it was. We were really excited. People really dug into artificial intelligence, and the sessions on AI were heavily attended. And I think what we kept hearing back from our attendees was that it was exactly what they needed. So really excited about that. And we got to see, we've been hearing about AI in the accounting space and hearing about how it can do all these really cool things, but now we're really starting to see it in action, and it's viable, right?
Mhm.
Which is just super exciting for all of us. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Jessica, feel free to share because you got a different perspective, like
Yeah,
listening
no, I
to.
mean, I had so much fun there, and the thing that I that was so great was, I mean, that adopting AI is I think it is ends up being the last step in the process for a lot of folks. Like to really benefit from increased efficiency from using these tools, you have to have the firm structure and like the pricing and packaging that support that. And so I loved having a bunch of conversations with folks about how to do flat rate pricing or like transparent
Mm,
pricing, fixed rate, fixed fee pricing. How does compensation change for my team if
well, that's a
they're
big one.
if they're serving more revenue, right? And so it's like all these pieces that fall into place together that support then adopting technology in a way that's transformative for the firm. And it was just really cool to hear how different folks are thinking about this.
I 100%. And so today's conversation is really just an expansion of what can you do with AI? How can you use it? And then, really, Jessica, one of the things that I took a peek at the deck and was looking around. One of the things that you did was really accentuate that pricing conversation. So if things are more automated, truly, and I'm going to say in some ways for the first time ever, like we've had lots and lots of apps and we've had app stacks, but those app stacks weren't themselves efficient. So, filling in those gaps and actually creating true efficiency that goes across an entire problem from end to end, that's where I see the actual efficiency. Then you can start to do what you just we're talking about was, offering more services or, or serving more clients, whatever the firm's desire is really kind of varies.
Totally. Yeah, or go golfing for the back half of the month if you can get all your work done in the same amount of time, like whatever it is that folks want to achieve.
Yeah.
Ah,
I mean, it comes down to, charging the value, right?
mhm.
And having those meaningful conversations, which is what our clients have always wanted, right? It's just that we've always been caught up in trying to get the task work done and actually get data that is clean and reliable so that we can actually bring that goodness to clients. And we're finally there, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I think that my firm, we're just a baby firm, but our firm's goal is to increase that AI advisory piece for the clients, but also have golf Fridays. I don't golf, but you know what I mean.
I don't
So
either.
we want both.
I would just hang out with my kids. Listen, yes.
Well, so who we have with us is Jessica, and she's the founder of Meridian by Pilot. So many of you who have already heard the Pilot name, this is Meridian by Pilot, and we're going to be talking about that offering. And Heather, I think a lot of the people in here know us, that we're tech gurus and spend our life just playing in apps and technology and trying to better our I would say the community. So education that's available for all of our peers. Jessica, I'm going to put the focus on you. So, you had a career that has really spanned quite a wide variety of things. So, you want to kind of share some of what you've done?
Sure. I mean, I would say that Meridian and Pilot are really the culmination of my adult experiences with some prior companies. I'm a software engineer by training, but I've had the great honor and pleasure of working with my kind of long term business partner and co-founder Wasim since we were in school together. We met as nerds in the computer club at MIT, and we have worked together for almost 20 years ever since. And we're very fortunate to have had a couple of successful companies coming out of school and a couple of acquisitions. But we had the same problem that every business owner or startup founder has in running these startups, which is, how do you take care of the back office? And in particular, how do you take care of the financial back office, the books and the taxes and all of that, right? And we didn't have a finance or accounting background. We were nerds, so what did we do to solve this problem, like starting back in 2008? I mean, what we literally did is we bought a copy of QuickBooks for Dummies and a copy of QuickBooks Desktop, because that's what you used at the time. And we like did the close ourselves, and we even wrote some software to facilitate the month-end close. And that was our experience, because we didn't know any accountants, and we didn't know anybody who knew any accountants, and we didn't know what else to do. But like, we had that experience. We had the same experience with our next company, like looking around for is what's like kind of the best way to solve this problem, and it just wasn't clear to us as business owners. And then we also knew from our families and our friends, it's like everybody is or knows a small business owner and knows
Absolutely.
how hard it is for the average small business owner to get the finance and accounting support that they need, like at a price point that's actually going to work for them, right?
Mhm.
And so this became kind of our life's work to figure out, well, we had a hypothesis, and now coming on 10 years ago, we started Pilot with a hypothesis, which is, we think it's possible to automate bookkeeping to a high degree, and that if you could do that, that would give you this really important kind of foundation to build off of. And you could build off of that foundation in a bunch of ways, but our hope was that the end goal would be, this can get high quality finance and accounting support into the hands of every business owner in America, because that's of tremendous consequence to our neighborhoods and to society. Like, it's so important that small business owners have a shot at surviving and thriving. So that was like the heart of what we were doing. And for the past 10 years, we've really been kind of building and like proving to ourselves that this technology works by using it to run an accounting firm. And that is like what Pilot HQ is. It's a pretty big accounting firm. We're doing like 60 million in revenue on this platform. It's like entirely run on Meridian, which I'll talk about in a second. But the purpose of Pilot HQ has always been to be the testing lab for this technology. And this technology, we talked about AI. There's AI in Meridian, but we've been working on this for 10 years. It's actually mostly deterministic software. Like, there's actually, if you think about, okay, like, what are the steps in doing bookkeeping? Like, what are the steps in the month-end close process? What are the steps in various accounting activities? A lot of them are like a clear deterministic process that has a single right answer. You don't,
Right.
AI is like not the right tool for the job there. Like, to import and reconcile the transactions for your bank accounts and credit cards, there's like a single right way of doing that. So we've written
It's a decision tree that you're working
Yeah.
through every single month.
So we've written a bunch of software, or you can almost think about it as like tools, literally thousands of tools that we've built and kind of battle tested across every scenario, like every kind of business and business model and every vertical. venture track businesses, Main Street businesses, like we've seen it all. We've like stress tested the system against like literally thousands of businesses over the past 10 years. And in the last 12 months, it is the case that the foundational models like the LLMs have gotten so good that where we had kind of like the Iron Man suit that we had built for our accounting team that gave them superpowers in executing the close, you can actually take the person out of the Iron Man suit and you can put the LLM into the Iron Man suit, and it can actually run a largely deterministic close, but it can kind of compose the tools and stitch together the process from beginning to end totally autonomously. And that was
Well,
a game
Iron
changer for
Man
our
in
team.
accounting is definitely what we need.
Well, but it's so, it's so, but that's so powerful because if the abstraction that you can provide is the close is done by the system, and then all I have to do is the review, plus everything else that I want to be doing for
Mhm.
clients. That gives you, you reclaim so much of your time. You have like so much optionality on what you do with the margin that you've reclaimed from this, right? So we can invest that in more wraparound support for our clients. We can invest in our team doing more advisory work. We can, there are a bunch of things that we can do now because the close is done in software and the team is doing what scaffolds on top of that. And so that's what Meridian is. So the platform that we built and that we've been running Pilot HQ off of for our entire client base for 10 years, it's like now we were able to provide that really clean interface.
Mm.
We've proven what we've needed to prove to ourselves, and so we're now it's in now we sell Meridian as a platform for other accounting firms to use. And it's been very exciting to talk to people about this because we know that folks they're like looking at the math on their pricing and packaging and their team and the team compensation, and they're looking at all these tools and what would the adoption of these tools actually look like. And I mean, it's being able to provide that clean abstraction of get the data into the system, the close is done end to end in software, your team takes it from
Yes.
there. That's like a really powerful abstraction to start playing with.
I think that um I love this right here, so I'll stick on this for just a second. But I think that one of the things that was the continual conversation at Scaling New Heights is the month-end close tools. There were some there that were building their own GLs. There were some that were sitting on top of. And so I want to highlight for those who don't quite understand, Meridian by Pilot is a tool that sits on top of QuickBooks. So or Xero. Is that true? You do both?
We have the most advanced support for QuickBooks. Xero has some
Okay.
very, as people probably know if they work with Xero, Xero has some very restrictive API.
Okay.
It's a very restrictive API landscape. But I would say let's focus on QuickBooks for now. But more ledgers, more robust support for more ledgers coming soon.
So my point in that is that you don't have to leave your favorite GL in order to be able to have this service. Because I think that a lot of people have looked at some of the ideas of what they want, and that month-end close automation is something that they all want, but they don't want to leave the GL that they use. And I can even speak for my own firm that I don't want to have an expert, in a team member who's an expert in QuickBooks Online, and then also Xero, and then also all of these other, new GLs. I need my firm to be efficient, and part of that is using a tool that will help us be efficient, but stay in the GL that, if I was to sell, if I was to, all different kinds of things, bring on new team members, there's a standard GL. So I think that that's one of the benefits of Meridian. I want to just kind of call that out. And then the other thing that you've got right here, so this $1 million martini, this is a big promise. And what this promise like means to me, and I see in this drink, and you and I have, Jessica, haven't had a chance to talk about it, but it's like the idea that was introduced at scaling that, you could be a team of one and have $1 million firm
Yeah.
if you follow certain rules. And some of those are efficiency and having a lot of it automated and using the right tools. that you really can be a team of one or two or three and have this profitable of a firm, but you have to be making the right choices. So today's conversation is making those right choices.
Yeah, and so first, 100% to everything that you said, Liz. It's like it's important that we're meeting our clients where they are, right? Like sometimes they've invested in their own processes in their favorite ledger because they're invoicing or doing bills or whatever. They're using QB payroll. Like they're invested in a set of processes, and like sometimes we want to nudge folks towards better processes and better workflows, but sometimes we need to meet clients where they are. So we're often inheriting a system that we need to make work. And then yeah, it's the, QuickBooks is pervasive, so we of course needed to build a system that sat on top of the popular ledgers. So yeah, yes. So like to Meridian sits on top of QuickBooks Online, and it all posts out to QuickBooks though, so you have everything in your ledger source of truth, and you can take it with you whenever you want. But yeah, Meridian sits on top of QuickBooks. And then to the $1 million comment, yes, I mean we really do. We target $1 million per accountant at pilot, and the only way that that's possible is because the close is done in software.
So Jessica, we have a question from Jean, and I think I know the answer, but you're the expert, so I'm gonna have you answer it. They wanted to know how this is different from a product like Double or Zenit, which are really diagnostic applications that allow you to view what's wrong and then take action. Can you explain how this, because it's very different. It's very, very different.
Yeah. So I think, and the best way of answering this is going to be to just show you what it looks like. I can just close a customer for you all. I mean, this is going to be a live demo, so like, demo gods, please, let's not do anything too weird. But I can show you what it looks like. But at its core, this is about the close being automated beginning to end, right? So it's not like, I mean, I'll show you what it looks like so you can just judge for yourself. It's not like coming from a place of being practice management first. It's coming from a place of like, our goal was, what system would you need to build to robustly, reliably, in a really easy to review and audit way, have a close that's executed from beginning to end in software? And then you'll see that there's a bunch of cool firm-wide visibility and for kind of firm management stuff that you can do within the system. But I would think about it first and foremost as think about all the work and all the costs that go into doing the books for your customers, for your clients today. What if you could just have that be done by software instead, and that your team could reclaim that time to do other things? That's like the focus. Should I just show? Can I just show you?
Go ahead. I stopped sharing. It's like take it away.
Yes,
okay. So I'm gonna send you a request to share. Is that?
And I'm going to allow you to share.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna start by showing a mock, because that just like is the convenient way to show like a firm level overview. I'm gonna spend like about 10 seconds on stuff that is not the core automation, just because I think what folks are most interested in is seeing it in action. But just to contextualize this and make sure we're all on the same page about it. So this is like a platform that a firm would use to manage the close and the just like the day-to-day bookkeeping for their client portfolio. You can see what this can look like for a firm. This is like a hypothetical firm. You can see all your customers, you can see the assignments, you can drill down, you can see their status. There's also, imagine that you're an accountant at the firm and you have your portfolio. Great, right? And then in managing your portfolio, at some point, it's the 2nd of the month or whatever, and the statements have all posted. Now it's time to close a customer for the month. Like, what does that look like? Well, let me show you. Okay, now we're in like this is like Meridian. This is live. This is not a forecast. This is not what we're shipping in 2 quarters. This is like live today. And it's so live today that some stuff is like still a little ugly, but it works, which is the thing that matters. And it will get prettier over time. Okay, so let's say that we have a sample customer here. This is like an anonymized real business, basically. Okay, so this is like this happens to be like a venture track a robotics company that spends a lot of money every month, honestly, like prototyping robots that I'm sure they're excited to sell for a lot of money. Great, good for them. This also would, this is also a platform that is very good at supporting, again, Main Street businesses that have their own kind of shapes of bookkeeping problems. But just to give you an example, this is a venture track business. They use some institutions that y'all are probably familiar with. They have bank accounts and credit cards. They have payroll. And let's talk about what it takes to close the books for them. Okay, so I'm going to come over to this tab here, and let me kick off the close because it is probably going to take about 5 minutes, and I'll just like voice over what's happening, and I'll give more context as it's running because I want to give it a chance to run. So I'm gonna just kick it off here. What is actually happening? Okay, so to close the books for a business, there's some set of data inputs that are necessary, right? So you have your bank accounts and your credit cards, and you need those transactions imported into your ledger, into QuickBooks, and you need to reconcile against statement balances. So there's the data sources for that, but there's also the data inputs for your payroll or your revenue and your rev rec and your loan schedule and whatever else is going on. There's some set of data inputs that are necessary. For the banks and credit cards specifically, there are basically 3 options, and Meridian supports all of these. You might have QBO bank feeds wired up, so the transactions are syncing directly into QuickBooks. Great. You might do statement uploads. You can upload the statements to Meridian, or you can actually use a third-party tool like Plaid to get a continuous bank feed that doesn't rely on the QuickBooks bank feeds, which have some problems and limitations. So the 3 main ways that you are probably used to getting data into QuickBooks are all supported here. You can do bank feeds, direct bank feeds, statement uploads, or a Plaid hookup. And then there's, whatever other data dependencies need to be satisfied. So again, if you have like a loan schedule, or you can hook up a payroll system, or you can provide like a payroll ledger. You can upload the statements. The way to think about this is, now it's cranking through here. It's going to beat me to the end. Okay, fine. Well, the way to think about this is the data dependencies need to be satisfied, and then the close is going to execute. What exactly is being executed? Well, a firm there's like a universal basic bookkeeping checklist template. There's some stuff that you always have to do. You always need to import and reconcile your bank accounts and credit cards. There's some there's always a review step. So there's some universal steps, but then a firm has kind of the firm default checklist. Great. And then for a given client, they might have some client-specific steps as well, because they have some particular rev rec process or some particular inventory to COGS recognition process or what have you. So you've got, think about it as like a firm template, and then it's easy to kind of clone that to get a client-specific checklist for their unique needs. And that checklist has some data dependencies associated with it. You've got the checklist, the data dependencies are satisfied, and then the system, you can kick off, or the system can also kick itself off. It just kicks off the close. Let's check in on some of what it's been doing here. So in this case, this is a kind of a sample business that is hooked up via Plaid. Again, we support all the usual ways of hooking up the banks and credit cards. And these are all the high-level sections here. And I'll skim these to get us a sense of what's going on, and then we'll drill down on some of these so you can see what's in them. So this is like our kind of template, kind of firm-wide checklist. We have our own kind of firm-wide policies and procedures as well, like capitalization thresholds, materiality thresholds for when you'd want to check in with the client on, transactions that are hard to categorize. If there are things that you always want reviewed as part of the review process, that can all be articulated as kind of your firm-wide policies and preferences. And then we're executing from top to bottom. So we're reconciling the accounts, the bank and credit card accounts. We're categorizing the activity. We are, we're booking payroll. We're dealing with reimbursements. And again, these are all expandable. You can see what's in them. And so what's in these is it's like a lot to read if you're not familiar with like the firm-wide policies and procedures or this customer, but know that there are a bunch of steps within here that are all getting executed. I think the journal entry step is an instructive one. Like this is a section where, so this is accrual basis accounting. So we're capitalizing and depreciating assets. We are like looking at like vendor payment histories, and we're like booking accruals or amortizing payments over the appropriate service period if it's like annual prepayments for software purchases. This is all happening deterministically in software autonomously as this checklist is executing.
So Jessica, question.
Yeah.
So what you're showing, the majority of these are templates that if you sign up, you already have access to. Is that true?
Yes. So there's like a vanilla checklist that like you don't have to write these steps out for every client or for your firm if you like the kind of the totally good, reasonable default checklist that we have. So like most firms have some kind of, they want to be capitalizing and depreciating assets, and they want to be doing the accruals and amortizing material expenses over the correct service period, right? Great. That's all, it's like built in. What you might want to customize is the capitalization threshold, or if you have like custom schedule stuff that you care about. And then it can like roll forward schedules too. So like you can upload like the existing supporting schedules, and then it will like continue maintaining them. And the schedules are maintained in software. I think actually, let me show you in a tab here. So this is, yeah, okay. So there you can inspect the work in a bunch of kind of panes of glass here. So if you wanted to know what the agent was doing, we can look at, for example, like what amortizations and accruals have been booked. We can look at the capitalizations. We can also change them. I mean, I wouldn't change them myself. I would tell the agent to change them on my behalf. I'll show you how to do that in a second.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to see how to change it.
You can like inspect reconciliations. You can inspect clearing accounts and how they're like, how are they tick and tying to clear. So there's a bunch of, I mean, what's really important about this system though is like it has to be legible to the accountant for you to trust the system, right? So you have to know what it did, what decisions it made. You have to be able to check the work if you want to. And so it's really easy to do that.
And these are all editable too. So even if we use one of the templates that exist, we could even edit it.
This is fully customizable. So if I was like, oh, I want a new whatever step related to journal entries, I can like add a step, or I can add a section. Yeah, this is all totally. It's like it's customizable down to the client level. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so like what has happened here? Okay, a lot has happened actually under the hood. So this is like transaction import, recon, categorization, booking payroll, just all the usual steps that you would expect to produce accrual basis books for a growth stage tech company have all happened. And then it takes us to a review section. Now this is the part where it's like a little ugly, but it's gonna get prettier soon. So just bear with me on this. The content is good. It's a little overwhelming to look at. Okay, so there's a big kind of self-review that has happened. It's checking on a bunch of things to make sure that vendors are being categorized consistently, and it's like basically doing a flux analysis in software, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing major fluctuations. Like, is that like reflecting the actual underlying business reality? Is there a missing accrual here that I need to consider? So there's like a review process where it's kind of checking its work itself before it gets to you, because if it can detect and correct something on its own, it might as well do it. And then it's ready for us to like get its kind of readout on what it did. I'll show you what it looks like, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like in 2 weeks as we ship improvements to the UI. But okay, so here is like the review output from running this month-end close on this customer. And this is actually a business that has a fair bit going on. It's like one thing that's also maybe worth saying explicitly is this is a system that has been stress tested supporting like pretty sophisticated large companies. So it's like it's really, really good at small cash basis businesses. Those are like very easy and very fast to execute in Meridian. But even, like Series B, Series C and beyond, growth stage tech companies, or like multi-entity, I don't know, PC MSO dental operation. It's had to deal with a bunch of complicated stuff here, and so you'll see that's like fairly sophisticated about what it's going to surface as noteworthy. Okay, so in this particular case, what's going on? Okay, it gives us three things that we would probably want to look at as part of like doing, like, I, the human accountant, now wanting to do a holistic review of the financials. So what am I going to do? I would like pull this up. I would pull up my month over month balance sheet. I pull up my month over month P&L, and I would like read this, and then I would take that into consideration while doing my review. Some interesting stuff happens to have gone on. I know from corresponding with the client, some interesting stuff has like happened to go on in the past couple of months. I know that they raised a price round and they converted their safes. So they did some fundraising that did change the equity section of their balance sheet, and it's like seeing that and calling it out. Probably want to double check that and make sure that the conversion looks as you would expect. They did also they buy a bunch of machinery to machine the robots, and they did like a machinery, they like did an asset sale. They sold some piece of equipment, and it's like seeing that, and this is the kind of thing where you probably want to make sure that the treatment is one that you agree with. It looks like it's also flagging, like health insurance expense increased materially. Cool, would also want to look at that. This is like a pretty rapidly growing business, so it's possible that this is actually just because their headcount's gone up pretty quickly. But, I would want to look at it, right? I'd want to look at it, and, if maybe they actually paid for 2 months at once and it needs to be amortized, and I could go tell the agent to go do that. What is this going to look like in 2 months? Or sorry, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Engineering has told me 2 weeks. Let's see here. Here's like a mock-up of the review, a much friendlier looking review surface that is going to be live really soon. And it's just like summary of major actions taken, stuff that you probably want to take a look at. And then you can even review
like that it's color coded too.
Yeah, totally. So this is easier to scan. It's like friendlier. So excited to ship this. But you can imagine this makes for a very efficient. I mean, this is a business that is like this is like a real growth stage tech company. They're spending a bunch of money every month, and they're spending, like probably $1,500 on their bookkeeping. I mean, I didn't have to do anything except, I would need to make sure that the data dependencies have been satisfied. And so if they open a new bank account, I'm going to notice that in the books, honestly, because they're going to see some money in transit that's not clearing. But, I might need to correspond with the customer if they're like, opening new institutions. If I need statements from them and they've been like late to give them to me, I might need to bug them about it. But getting the data into the system is usually really easy because you either have like a QBO feed or you have a Plaid hookup, and maybe you're doing statement uploads. And then, yeah.
Oh, I had a question. Sorry, I can hold it to the end if you'd rather.
Well, no, just in the data, data dependency satisfied, and you saw like it's like a real thorough accrual basis closed checklist that is like tailored to the firm's policies and preferences, and then has any client specific needs articulated as well. And then you get a review at the end, and you can, you get kind of a review summary. And if you ever want to drill down on the work, it's all very legible in a bunch of kind of proof of work, especially on what's going on the balance sheet. And then the last, I want to hear your question. After you ask, I do want to show just the fact that in addition to the autonomous close, there's a chat interface that you can interact. Like if you want to direct the agent to do ad hoc tasks, you can also do that. But let me pause to hear what your question first.
Yeah, I guess one of my questions was, I know that the agent is going through and going into QuickBooks and making calculations and recording the entries, pulling data that you need, pulling anomalies that you need. Does it also do any kind of client communication? So if I needed to reach out to the client with information, is that something I can request of the agent?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So firms, Meridian supports kind of two modes of operation. One is being totally behind the scenes, and then the other is being that kind of client-facing portal. Actually, I can even show. So if you're a firm that you kind of already have your own way of communicating that you like and you want to stick with, that's totally great. It can be totally behind the scenes. But if you wanted to have the kind of the end-to-end feedback loop here of like you have a client portal where clients can initiate questions, you can push questions to them, and then actually, but then the agent has visibility into the correspondence and can action questions or draft action and draft responses that you are then reviewing. You can, that's totally supported. This is like a just like a taste of the portal. It has, you have like a task list. You can look at your financials. You can push structured questions about transactions and categorization, amortization, and then also just have open-ended correspondence. So you totally can use it in that way. Yes.
That's great. And then how do you review the correspondence between the client? Is there an area that actually shows like the threads, or is it connected to email? How does that work?
Yes. So let me. I don't think I can show you this in this mock-up, but let me. I mean, I'll just, what's going on? Let me just open this one. We'll do it live. It's fine. Yeah. So we can. Like, there's some like internal. Let's see here.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's like a question history that you can take a look at. There happen to be no open questions right now. I didn't like stage any questions for this, but yeah, you can
Got
look at
it.
a question history. And then, I think what's interesting about this is I didn't actually draft these questions. Like the agent did for me. And sometimes like love clients, love business owners. Sometimes they'll ask really like reasonable but like gnarly to explain, like they'll ask a question where there is an answer to be given, but it actually requires like a ton of forensics and explanation to get to
Mm.
the answer. And I mean, damned if it isn't great to be like, hey agent, I need you to like go track down this specific variance thing that they're calling out and just like lay out exactly what happened and why in the revenue schedule so that I can like double check what you just said and then send it to them. It's very liberating to be able to do that.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. Um,
So sometimes there's questions about specific transactions. For example, yeah, like you were just what you were looking at a minute ago was the question about the vehicle. You just happen to know that they were buying and selling vehicles right now.
yeah.
But from that synopsis, is there a way to be able to say, here's the check image that took place? What was this for?
Yeah, so there's a let's see here. Let me I'm thinking about the easiest way to show this to you right now. There is a because I don't have any like open. So, okay, the answer to this is yes, you can push like open-ended questions to the portal like I just showed you. And then there's also a surface where you can push like categorization questions and
Mhm,
amortization questions as like structured questions because the structure can help clients
mhm, absolutely.
answer the
Oh yeah.
question in a way that's
Visually
helpful.
structured,
Yeah.
they need it all.
Yeah. So yes, the answer is yes. I happen to not like this is going to be empty, I'm pretty sure. But you can imagine that you could push categorization questions. And you can leave a note. You can be like, "Hey, this whatever, this deposit, the check image actually we couldn't tell even from the check what this was for. Can you just tell me what it was for?" And then they can reply or set the category. Yeah.
It looks like there's also an icon to generate emails. So clients that don't participate in the portal, are you, is that an indication that you're also able to connect email and so you can have the same kind of dialogue with them that's tracked via email?
So you I mean, I love these questions because you're really getting into it. Okay, yeah. So you email is disconnected from Meridian, so you're not like hooking up your Outlook or you're not hooking up your Gmail.
Okay.
What you can, well, what I can do, you can't do it today, but you probably can do it in like 3-ish months. I can because I have like advanced access to some things. Um, I can drive this experience actually from like a Claude Cowork or like a Codex, and I can connect my Gmail or my Outlook, and I can connect my Meridian, and then I can say, hey, this client, like, go find the client email where they asked me this extremely gnarly question, and then go like take whatever action in the books, and then also like draft the reply to the client about what we did. So it's the way to think about email in this, I think, is like we you can compose Meridian with your email if you're into workflows like Claude Cowork or Codex.
Mhm.
Um, and then you
Which is
have like the
happening more and
portal
more in
chat. Yeah,
accounting.
totally,
Yeah, it
right?
is. We're
So I think that that's
with
super
the
important.
MCP.
And then and if your client loves sending you emails, like great, like that's total. You can still use that workflow to get work done. And then, but a lot of firms are do like this client portal experience, because then you have the like a totally self-contained within Meridian loop that you can close and direct the agent to do work against without having to plug stuff together in an environment like Claude Cowork. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it does. That's exciting.
It's
Mhm.
And so you said you have the ability to do that. Is that on the roadmap for your general Meridian users to have them be able to connect Meridian to Claude Cowork?
Yeah, I can't give you a date. I would say like definitely in 2026. Although
Okay.
I would be hard pressed to give you a. I'd
Yeah,
have to check it out.
understandable.
Yeah, yeah. But that's literally how I do a lot of my work today, just because I like being able to
Sure.
compose my email and Meridian, and so I do it from Codex via some special access that I have. Um, oh, okay, chat. So, just to give an example, this is in the mocks. This is also live. But if you think about having the autonomous close, the month end close done in software in Meridian, you pair that with a chat interface to the agent that you can use to direct ad hoc tasks. So, like, let's say that you have a client who, I don't know, has been spacing out for a couple months. It happens. And they wake up and they're like, oh, I now urgently need revised financials for the past year that's like restating my revenue in a new way. And it's like super urgent. And like, here's all the files. Can you please do this ASAP? And they send you their Stripe exports, and they send you your Square exports, and they send
Mm.
you some other stuff. And they're like, can you please do this? And you're like, great. It's 5 p.m. on a Friday. Yes, I can do this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this I'm going to just tell the agent to handle this for me. And so this is like this type of, or like complexity of project is like totally the kind of thing that you can direct the agent to do. And it's able to use all of those tools, all those deterministic tools that it's using to execute the close. It's like also able to use those to service ad hoc requests, which is why it really kind of feels like you're able to delegate work to it, like your kind of AI accountant, because you can give, and like this is a pretty high level description of a job to be done, right? Like, hey, I need to restate revenue for this time period. Like, here are like the data files. It also includes like some COA changes. Go make the changes. And it would just, it knows enough about accounting to just do it correctly. And if you like didn't specify something that was important to specify to execute this task correctly, it would ask for clarification. Like if you failed to say like what to do about the COA, it would be like, you need to tell me more information about what revenue accounts to add or use. So this is an example, but it's an example that's completely realistic. Like this type of project, I don't know, doing some kind of payroll split, if it's a recurring task, it should be encoded in the close checklist. But if it's an ad hoc task, you can give like pretty large projects to the agent, and it's very good at doing them.
I have another question. It's a little bit of a crazy question, but you'll see a little bit of and maybe it's not crazy. Maybe it's not crazy. But one of the things that I know a lot of firms struggle with is that book to tax reconciliation, right?
Mm.
Where especially the junior to staff level, that's a big one. Where how do I get from book to tax and how do I reconcile the tax return back. Does Meridian have the ability to do that? Like if I could upload a tax return, would it be able to look at it and point out the differences?
Yeah, I would expect it to. I mean, it needs to. It's like, what data do you need to do that? You
Right.
need you like, and you probably want you need like the transaction level data to like really do the full forensics here. But I think as long as it has the input data,
Got it.
I think it would be fine with that. And that specific example, just to be totally transparent, is I think is like not even necessarily like a Meridian capability. My guess is that if you fed that into one of the, like a recent,
Like a Claude or
like, yeah, Claude or ChatGPT models, it would probably do a good job of those forensics. I think where there's a lot of unique Meridian capability is it's like all of these deterministic tools to do
got it.
activities like reconciliation and capitalizing and depreciating assets and doing amortizations and maintaining schedules. Like, that's all software. That's not like letting Claude figure out how to do it. This is like a pretty sophisticated software that's been like written and kind of battle tested over
Got
time.
it.
Yeah.
And then the AI kind of just adds some bells and whistles and yeah.
There's some level of like, like decision making that it's doing,
Mhm.
and like composing these tools to last mile the close.
Mhm.
Although I do think it's like it's important that that's how it works, though, because I think a thing that can be I mean, this we learned this ourselves at Pilot prior to being able to put the LLM into the Iron Man suit. We found it very difficult to translate like equipping the team with tools into like real business metrics impact. Like, if your goal is to, let's say, increase margins, and to increase margins you like deploy tools that here's like the 20, it's like now the close has like 20 handoff steps between an accountant and a tool. So much time and cognitive overhead gets applied towards the handoffs and just like the maintaining of the context. We really only saw like real margin impact and real business metrics impact once we had this abstraction in place of like, get the data into the system executes the close,
Right.
and then the accountant reviews the work. And then also being able to delegate pretty complex projects or support questions to the agent is also very impactful for our team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I've got is, you had mentioned that there's the white labeling option, or there's the direct to client option. I'm not sure exactly how you phrase those two, but with our clients asking conversational questions, they're getting used to that with LLMs. Is there a component to this that, even if we were using this internally as for our firm month end close, is there a component that we could share with our clients so that way they could have this type of conversation where they're not putting it into an outside LLM?
Yes. So if you're using, okay, so two versions of Meridian, one that's fully behind the scenes, one that's client facing. The client facing version includes, it's like you can think of it as like a read only chat interface to the system. So
Yes.
they can't change the books themselves, but they can
Okay.
ask questions. They could say, hey, give me a management summary of the financials for last month. Or, hey, what were my 10 largest vendors by spend over the past 12 months? Or give me my, I don't know, compute my gross margin for the past 12 months. Like, it can do things like that. And some firms really like this because
Hmm.
their clients like it. We totally get that some firms really want to control the client experience and kind of, it's like there's a
Absolutely.
thought to like what value is delivered kind of where in the system. So you totally can use it either way. It can be purely behind the scenes, or it can be client facing. But yes,
And
there's a
I
client chat.
get both sides of that conversation. I think that my my thing is our clients are getting very comfortable with going to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. And so I would rather have a tool that allows them to stay in a environment where accounting questions are intended as opposed to exporting some of that information and going rogue with it.
Sure. Sure.
We do have a poll. So Heather, do you want me to launch that poll? Do you want to launch the poll?
I can launch it if you like.
Okay,
right.
either way.
All right. Would you like to learn more about Meridian by Pilot? And we're just going to leave that up for a minute or so to give people some time to answer that. And if you answer yes, we're going to send your information on over to Jessica and her team, and they'll reach out with more information.
I'm not offended if you say no. I will say it's very cool though. Like okay, fun fact. I literally, okay, I'm the CEO of Pilot. I have a day job. I'm like busy doing a bunch of stuff, mostly sales and marketing stuff for Meridian. But I literally maintain a $500,000 like client revenue portfolio as like the thing that I do while watching television after my kids go to bed. Like it is like the system is so leveraged that I'm literally I think it's like currently about 85 customers. Like I'm literally able to do that like just while watching TV. It's just like that's crazy. That's crazy that that's possible. And it's and all the stuff that is a bummer about bookkeeping, I don't have to do anymore. Like the thing that is so interesting to me about accounting is that it's like the combination of a bunch of like super nuanced, sophisticated, high judgment work, and then just like some pretty mind-numbingly I don't know, boring. Like yeah, there's some real repetitive work, and so this really lets me hoist myself out of the stuff that's a drag, and to focus on the things that are actually fun and that are like the best way for me to be delivering a differentiated experience to my clients. So it's like a pretty joyous experience. If that sounds interesting to you, I like super would love to talk to you about it.
Awesome. I think that we're headed this direction. So we've got to find tools that work with us at the current state that technology is moving. So I'm pulling up your website real quick so that way I can share it with everyone. So here did I get onto Meridian's?
Yeah, click that. You're good.
Okay, great. I meant to go to there. Anywho, what did it? Okay, so I think it's just trying to filter me back into it. But the idea is to go and to schedule an appointment. Is that the right way to get started as an accounting firm who wants to use Meridian?
Yeah, I think so. And, usually I think the way that this works is first we want to understand what are your goals? Like if you like are totally set on the way that your firm is running, then you're good. But there's like something that you're trying to accomplish, and like you think that there's like a tech component to this. We'd love to hear about it. Like, what are your goals? And then we can give you another demo. We can like sort of speak specifically to your goals, and maybe your goal is to scale. Like your goal is to serve more clients. Maybe your goal is to do more, kind of do more with your existing team. Maybe your goal is to like work less so that you can, I don't know, take a 4-day week. Well, it's like whatever your goal is, we can kind of speak to your specific goals. And then it's really easy to get started actually. So some folks they just want to start kicking the tires by using it on their clients. Or we also sometimes do a proof of concept. You can just see what it looks like to run the close on a couple of your clients. It's really easy. Actually.
So is there a get started button here, or is the first step really to book a demo?
You should book a demo.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to gain from what we saw today. And Heather, I think you've closed the poll. Yeah.
I did. I closed the poll.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, for those who are interested in what is coming up next, Heather and I are going to be traveling around. So let me pull that back because
y'all are busy. I ran into Liz at Scaling New Heights, and I'm like, and I was like, Liz is a busy woman. That was what I took away from our conversation.
It was great to meet you, and it was right after I had been talking a whole bunch, and I know that I was like, words I don't have any more. Hi. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. And sometimes that's the way the conference goes, but there's a whole lot of learning that comes away from those kinds of events. And so there's more coming up. So Bridging the Gap is right around the corner. So I will be there live. Heather may be there. And then the same vice versa is true at Zero. So Heather will for sure be there. And I think that I'm joining. So anyway, you're going to get both of our perspectives at the live events.
Yes, that's at Zero Con. We missed the con there. But that's in Denver. And yes, and so we will see you guys there.
Absolutely. And I think that what we keep hearing over and over again is all of our month-end close partners saying that month-end close by the end of 2026 should be fully automated. So
Yep.
if you are somebody who has already fulfilled that month-end automation and close, then great for you. If you're somebody who has not quite done that and you're not really sure where to go, you need to explore these types of solutions. So book the demo, reach
Definitely.
out, ask for help, because that's the direction that we're headed.
This is just so exciting. In my practice, I did so much, I want to say now it's been like 5 years with Zapier and Make, trying to automate some of this stuff and use the duct tape to create it. So to see these packaged, sleek month-end close applications, it's really exciting to me. And then coupled with tools like Zapier, Make, and NCPs, it's just staggering what we're able to do today.
It's very cool.
So. Yeah.
I think about, Heather, what you were building was what was available at the time. I mean, it
That's
was
right.
as advanced as we could possibly get at that time. And, every single scenario, you'd have to create a custom Zap. Like, here's how to
That's
do
right.
it. Now, what we're looking at with Meridian is this. Okay, the basic principles are there. Now apply them to the client. And then if you need to tweak them to be able to fit that specific scenario with that client, fine. That's your 20% that you have to customize. But the rest of it, the 80% of it should be templatized and just repeat
Yes,
over and over and
absolutely.
over again.
For
So
sure. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining
So
us
much.
today. I'm excited. It was really cool hearing your story and how you got started with Pilot, and it really seems like it's a labor of love, and I love that you're giving back to the community, and it's really awesome. So
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
well, cheers until next time.
take care, everyone.